When you fall asleep, without realizing it, your coccyx sends out pulses that reprogram your reality. And we are not talking about dreams, but about a silent command, ancestral, internal, biological, that operates while your conscious mind shuts down. At the base of your spine, there is a forgotten point that vibrates at a rhythm no one ever taught you to hear. This point does not rest. It emits internal microwaves that reorganize your neurosensory field during the night. These waves make no noise, cause no visible movement, but they are the ones that determine what kind of awareness you will wake up with. Your body knows this technology, but your mind has forgotten how to access it. Waking up feeling unclear, with blocked creativity, or caught in cycles of exhaustion, is a sign that this vibrational axis, which begins in the coccyx, is inactive, dormant, out of sync with the nighttime creative intelligence. Today, you will unlock this secret. 3 sacred microwaves generated from the base of the body, capable of silently activating the invisible architecture of creation. But pay attention, without the right gesture, the pulse dissolves. Something in you stays awake while you sleep. A pulsing core at the base of the spine, the coccyx from there. A silent sequence begins that shifts your state of consciousness without you noticing. These pulses are not random. They are specific stimuli with rhythm and direction, like commands issued by an organ that holds a very ancient form of intelligence. While the brain slows down, this point emits microwaves that spread like signals from a forgotten language. They travel along the pathways of the neural axis and interact with fluids that modern medicine still studies with hesitation, but that ancient cultures once mastered with great precision. These waves reach the pineal gland, and there, something lights up. This is not fantasy, nor watered-down mysticism. It is an innate biological technology designed to be used during sleep. When the filter of reason lets its guard down and matter gives way to the subtle. What is at stake is not just deeper rest. It is the possibility of redirecting the architecture of your mind while it is at rest, removing residues of old thoughts, inserting new vibrational patterns, unlocking areas of the body that had been on hold. The practices were simple but precise. Specific lying down positions, slight adjustments at the base of the spine, subtle focus on the axis between the sacrum and the skull. And then, what used to be just sleep became a rite of silent reprogramming. Why does it work? Because the body has a system that operates beyond the reach of rational language, a system that vibrates, that responds to microstimuli, and that knows when you are ready to use the night as a creative tool. This video will reveal how to activate these 3 microwaves, simple, natural, and long forgotten, that rise from the coccyx and restart your creative mind. You will not need to understand everything. You will simply feel what is already in motion. Most spiritual traditions that have stood the test of time share something in common. The understanding that the body is a sacred instrument encoded with functions that go far beyond biology. But among these traditions, one stands out for having left behind detailed records, not just about the mysteries of the cosmos, but also about the hidden mechanisms of the body itself. This tradition was born in the silence of the Egyptian temples, where initiates trained for decades to master what we now call vital energy. But they did not call it by that name. They called it SA, the inner breath that shapes reality through organic commands, imperceptible to the ordinary eye. And the most sensitive activation point of this breath was not in the hands, nor in the eyes. It was at the base, more precisely, in the triangular bone that connects the spine to the earth, the coccyx. They knew that this was where the pulse of creation lay hidden, like a seed waiting for the right moment to sprout. During the night rituals, the masters would lie down in alignment with the reverse solar flow, not to sleep, but to listen. Because when the body falls silent, the Coccyx speaks. And what it says is not symbolic. It is vibrational. It emits minimal, yet precise frequencies that rise like internal tides, activating higher centers of perception. This rising was called arc, a term that also named the gateways between realms. Yes, the same sound found in arcuan, arc, and arc. To them, this small bone was not a useless evolutionary leftover. It was an antenna, an ignition key to access expanded states of consciousness through deep sleep. And when they combined it with specific breathing commands and body geometries, they created what they called embodied wisdom, transmitted through posture, breath, and presence. A spiritual science in which every gesture, every angle of the body took part in the intentional creation of reality. And the night, far from being just a time of rest, was the most powerful portal, because it is in the ego's stillness that deep programming takes place. Hermes, when synthesizing the mysteries, left clues about this process in his most hidden writings. But Thoth, in records older than the Kabbalion itself, had already described the existence of nighttime bodily commands that modulated subtle matter. These commands were not visible. They could not be forced. They would only awaken when the body was in vibrational coherence. And the starting point was always the same: the base. There, where the earth meets the spine, where the invisible condenses into bone, begins the silent dance of the Coccyx's microwaves. What science now calls nighttime parasympathetic activity, they already understood as the soul's rehearsal to fully inhabit the physical plane. And they knew whoever masters that pulse masters their own destiny. There is something in the body that starts to move even before consciousness falls asleep. And this something pulses in patterns so precise that it is now being tracked by cutting-edge sensors. Researchers at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders have been studying a curious phenomenon during deep sleep. Cerebrospinal fluid performs a highly regular oscillating movement, like an internal tide that rises and falls in sync with micropulses coming from the base of the spine. These pulses coincide with a state of intense neural cleansing. Toxins are eliminated, synapses reorganized, and subtle circuits rebooted. And there is more. It has been discovered that regions like the sacrum and coccyx contain mechanoreceptors that respond to pressure variations even during total rest, which suggests that the body sends its own commands to the mind while it sleeps. It is as if a silent intelligence were embedded in our physiology, an ancient mechanism operating beneath language, reprogramming internal circuits through invisible movements. And this changes everything, because if such pulses can be consciously stimulated through breathing, posture, or intention, then sleep is no longer just an automatic blackout. It becomes a creative portal. The first microwave is an almost imperceptible postural command, but one that is deeply strategic. Its internal name, subtle pelvic inflection. This is not a muscle contraction. It is an axial release, a conscious surrender of the base of the spine that changes the body's tension field at the exact moment you lie down. This gesture must happen before sleep arrives. It is the silent signal that tells the body, we are ready to reprogram. By releasing the weight of the hips onto the mattress with intention, an almost magical shift takes place. The pelvic fascia relaxes, the gluteal muscles let go, and the coccyx returns to its natural curvature, creating a small vibrational arc at the end of the spine. To activate this microwave, lie on your back, bend your knees slightly with your feet resting on the mattress, and allow the sacrum to find its resting point without pushing or forcing. Now exhale slowly, And at the end of the exhalation, let the weight of your hips melt into the mattress, as if the center of your body were dissolving downward. Do not move your torso. Do not tense your shoulders. Simply release the pelvic axis with full awareness and feel the gentle impulse that begins to form at the base. This impulse is not visual, it is felt. It is an internal echo, almost as if something inside you were responding. Now I can begin. The cerebrospinal fluid responds. The pineal gland adjusts, and the heartbeat enters into resonance with the new frequency being emitted from the base. The effect can be felt within seconds, a gentle sensation of warmth in the perineum, tingling in the feet, or a soft breeze rising along the spine. If you feel any of this, know this. You have activated the vibrational ignition point. But keep in mind, if the movement is mechanical, it will not work. It is the intention combined with physical surrender that produces the signal. This microwave is the invitation. The next two are the response. The second microwave does not originate in the hips. It is amplified by them. Once the initial invitation is made, the body emits a new type of pulse, the inner rebound. This rebound is not an external movement. It happens in the invisible space between the sacrum and the respiratory awareness. The name of this stage, in the Egyptian manuscripts, was known as breath held in the living bone. It is a pause between worlds. Here, the command is paradoxical. It is not to take a deep breath, nor to hold the air. It is to follow the natural breathing and notice the exact moment when it disappears. In this interval, where there is no air going in or out, the body enters an intermediate vibrational mode. A subtle whisper emerges at the base of the spine, not as sound, but as a light oscillation, as if the coccyx were gently swaying from within, generating a small upward ripple of fluid. The technique is to lie on your side, with your legs slightly bent, and simply observe your breath without interfering. When you notice that the body naturally pauses between one exhale and the next, bring your awareness to the exact point between the coccyx and the perineum. Do not contract, do not move. Just listen with the body, like someone hearing a coal spark into life in silence. If done correctly, you will feel an internal pulse echoing in the sacral bone and rising like a fluid vibration toward the thoracic region. It is as if something were awakening between the bones, opening a direct line of communication between the base and the heart center. This second pulse does not need to be repeated. It is unique, and once it is perceived, it continues to act throughout the night. Its effect is twofold. It amplifies the bioelectric field, and it begins the vibrational sweep that organizes lucid dreams, bodily memory, and nocturnal energetic adjustments. At this point, the body is no longer just sleeping. It is coding, transforming invisible records into perceivable frequencies. And this microwave is the first response. The next completes the circuit. If the first activation is the silent invitation, and the second is the vibrational ascent that awakens the pineal axis, then this third does not send, it receives. It is the returning wave, the final step, the one that does not move forward, but closes the cycle. It does not announce, it seals, and the seal vibrates at the very point where it all began. It happens when the body enters a state of complete rest, but the coccyx is still active, even if resting. That is the key. This is where the returning wave is born. It does not rise, it descends, and when it descends, it closes the energetic loop. This microwave is activated only when the mind fully lets go of control, but the body remains in relaxed awareness. In other words, it is not yet deep sleep. It is that state in which the body lies still, but consciousness floats between worlds. The activation begins with the tongue. Yes, the tongue. By placing it gently on the roof of the mouth, just behind the upper teeth, you close a bioenergetic circuit that connects the palate to the perineum. This ancient gesture, known to initiates of Taoism, Tantra, and Hermetic traditions, alters the electromagnetic field of the spinal column. At that exact moment, the coccyx emits a third microwave, not as an impulse, but as a return, an echo of everything that was previously activated. This vibration flows downward, from the top of the head to the base, passing through the heart, crossing the abdomen, and settling into the sacrum like a seal being gently placed. Meanwhile, the cerebrospinal fluid responds with one final oscillating movement, distributing bioinformation along the entire spine. The result, a night in which the body not only regenerates, but redefines what it carries. Memories, tensions, patterns, everything is restructured into a new frequency. You wake up lighter, clearer, more aligned, without knowing exactly why. But the reason was there. 3 microwaves, invisible, ancient, and encoded in the quietest bone of your body. Bradley had been ignoring the discomfort. It was subtle but constant, an internal noise that followed him even through the quietest of days. Even sleep, once his refuge, had started to feel heavy. In bed, it took him a long time to let go. The body longed for rest, but something inside him was still on alert. He could not name it. He could only feel it. He began to notice details that had once gone unnoticed. Small, involuntary contractions, a tension in the hips that refused to release, and the strangest part, a kind of internal impulse, like a calling from the base of the spine. It felt as though the coccyx itself was trying to communicate something. He remembered a sequence of practices he had read about long ago, not ordinary techniques, but ancient bodily commands. He decided to give them a try. He lay down in a neutral position, knees slightly bent. He released the weight of his pelvis into the mattress and paused. The simple act of relaxing the sacrum activated something. A first pulse, almost like an inner whisper. Bradley did not try to control it. He just observed. He felt the impulse softly vibrate through his spine, like a wave rising in slow motion. And when it reached the plexus region, his breath shifted on its own. In the days that followed, he repeated the gesture. Each time, it felt more natural, as if the body were relearning how to speak to itself. The second microwave emerged spontaneously as a response. A quiet warmth in the throat, followed by a gentle pulse at the top of the palate. That was the third. Not triggered, but received, as if a circuit had finally been completed. The next morning, he awoke before the alarm. There was no noise, no light, but something had lit up from within. For the first time in a long while, he felt no heaviness when opening his eyes. He felt presence. The body knows the way, but it does not always move at the same pace as the mind. And that is where many get stuck. Not from lack of technique, but from excess urgency. The practice begins to work, and without realizing it, consciousness tries to take control. It wants to feel more. It wants results to come in sequence. It wants proof. But the body does not reveal itself under pressure. It shuts down. It freezes. It returns to defense mode. That is the trap, using a subtle practice as if it were an instant effect button. Seeking a mystical experience with a productivity mindset, as if sleep itself had to become performance, as if the night had to deliver results. But the invitation here is different. It is to dissolve the urge to measure, because it is not about feeling something grand. It is about not blocking what is already unfolding. You are not trying to create the wave. You are simply stepping aside so it can move through. Transmutation begins with somatic trust, with true surrender, not by watching the body for signs, but by honoring it with quiet reverence. Before sleep, do not question, consecrate. Touch the coccyx with your mind, as if lighting an invisible incense. Then take a deep breath and silently say, I make space for the body to do what the mind does not understand. This phrase is not a mantra. It is a vibrational code. When spoken with truth, it disarms the ego and opens the field. The obstacle was never the technique. It was always the anxiety to prove that something is working. But the body does not respond to demands. It responds to listening. Each night is an opportunity not to shut down, but to reawaken forgotten patterns, internal geometries, vibrational gateways. As the world slows down, your body begins its hidden work, not of rest, but of silent reorganization. And the starting point of that inner engineering is not the mind. It is the base, the most overlooked, most sensitive, most ancient center, the coccyx. That is where a calling begins, not as a thought, but as an impulse, as a nearly imperceptible oscillation, as a gesture that requires no force to be effective, only attention. These microwaves do not follow linear logic. They follow the logic of the ancestral body, a body that pulses, that twists, that reorients. If you try to feel too much, you lose. If you try to control, you block. But if you surrender, there is a precise moment when everything realigns from within. Then sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes code. And once the code is activated, there is no turning back. You wake up in the same place, but not with the same frequency. The lightness is not an illusion. It is structural. It is physical. The body does not send obvious signals. It does not offer proof. It offers pathways. And it is up to you to follow them, or keep waiting for change to come from outside. Because every nighttime gesture that rises from the coccyx is a gesture of reconnection with your energetic origin, with the axis where your creative force had been asleep for so long, but no longer is. As Rumi once said, you were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Unlocking these microwaves is remembering that you came into this world to fly, even if that flight begins while lying down. If this content resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That helps us expand this field of knowledge even further. I'd love to know how you feel the vibration of these portals in your body. Share in the comments. My coccyx awakens the microwaves of silent creation. This affirmation seals your presence on the path of living consciousness. Share this video with someone you know who needs to remember the hidden power resting at the base of the spine. And don't stop here. Click on the screen and dive into another transformative video from the channel. Remember, while the world sleeps, the coccyx vibrates, planting in the invisible what you will harvest awakened.